We created Main Attraction in 2013. And really, the reason we did it was because we knew there were a lot of students who had skills, right, that weren't getting to get exercise because basically we have a basketball team until that point, and now we have a lot of other opportunities for students.
I could see students with a lot of talent that needed opportunities to grow, and I thought that would be a great opportunity for us to just start something. We didn't know if it would be popular or if anybody would even be interested, but we wouldn't know until we tried.
I think in the beginning it really was about getting students involved and engaged, and now it's really about raising a level of professionalism. Miss Ford and I, up until this year, really have taken a lead role in things like choreography and staging. So I think that process makes it a student-owned organization as opposed to just something Miss Ford and I try to force feed. So I think that's kind of my goal, is to really make it a student-owned group.
In the beginning, the goal was just to expose students to music, to share our love of music, to give them some background, some basic skills, and then to see what direction they would be able to take it. Really, your students determine what kind of program you have. And so we knew we didn't want to do serious choral music as far as going to competition and just standing and singing. We thought it'd be a lot more fun if we did sort of a show choir version. And so our goals change from year to year based on on the students' needs and what they bring to the table.
When we started, we had 9 students, one row of kids, and we were very lucky if everybody could sing the melody. And then we had, of the 9 students, maybe 3 that couldn't sing the melody. So at this point, we've come to SATB, so that's 4 parts: soprano, alto, tenor, bass. We're almost to 40 people. It seems to kind of be a in thing to do. The first year, it really wasn't that big of a deal to do. And now it seems like people want to do it. So I guess those are the biggest changes.
The biggest thing that's changed from year to year would be the students that we have. And that's kind of a neat thing to watch transform. The students, when they start out as freshmen and then watching them, they usually stay with us all 4 years. So we really get to see a transformation. And to me, that's what's changed. We see new faces come in and out, but those that have stayed with us all 4 years, that's what's changed the most.
Well, I think first and foremost, you got to want it, right? And the reason I say that is because every student that you see get up on the stage has had to come in front of Miss Ford and I, explain why they want to be here, what their purpose is, how are their absences, how are their grades, so it's not just being in this class. And then they actually have to sing in front of Miss Ford and I sort of a solo passage. They have to match pitch with us, so we know that they want it. And I think that's for anybody that's considering, that you're watching out there, that's considering doing this, you got to want to be in this. We want you to be in it, but you have to want it as well, because I can't lead this on my own. You have to lead it too. I think the most difficult part is really juggling between the job that I get paid to do, which is my Cisco job, my church job, being a dad, and doing this, right? Because there's only 24 hours in a day. So you kind of have to prioritize things. And again, that's why it's really important that the students own it. I keep leaning on Garen and Nick, but Garen and Nick really have done all the staging. They've done all the props and all that sort of stuff. So back in the day, I would have done all that, right? When I was at Spiro or when I was at Heavener, that would have been my job. But now with the students doing it, I can actually make it happen.
The most difficult part of my job is when the class actually happens. It's in the middle of the day, and up until then I have things to do, and after that I have things to do. And so right in the middle of the day, we try to scramble around for 45 to 50 minutes to try to cram all this stuff in there. And I think juggling all of the different moving parts, that's the most difficult, because you're looking at sets, you're looking at choreography, you're looking at costuming, blocking, and to do that in less than an hour, it's really difficult. The most enjoyable part for me is working with students, by far, absolutely, because they bring an energy and an appreciation for just the opportunity to do this. It is pretty amazing to be able to do something like this at a small school. And I think they feel loved because we do love them, and that's reciprocated.
2 things. Number 1 is working with my wife. It's really neat for me to be able to have a time where we get to do this together. And I don't really think, well, I know I couldn't do it on my own. So one of the great parts is working with her. The other part is the students, because regardless of what they have gone through in their personal lives throughout the day or what they will go through afterwards, we kind of just bench all of that for the time that we're together. And we kind of come together as a group, as I call it a choir family, right? And really just leave all the mess of the world behind and focus on making music. And I think that is a neat thing for all of us. I think the primary motivation for me is when I look at students who make comments like, this is the reason I come to school, right? This is what I look forward to. We had one young lady who's still in our class with us, actually, it was either last year or year before last, say, I'm closer to you guys than I am to my own biological family, right? I think those are the reasons that I do this. It gives students who don't necessarily have another outlet an opportunity to stand and shine, and that's what it's all about for me.
Only the students for me. Truly, it is so much work that if I did not see that they were benefiting from it, I would stop tomorrow. And I've always said if I couldn't give 100% at my job, I would quit. And so that's a motivation. And if I'm not what the students need, that is also a reason. And so I try to give 100% every day, and I try to meet the students' needs, whatever they are. But if the students don't want it, that would be something that we would have to evaluate.
Well, I hope first and foremost they learn how to work with other people. I think that is a skill that whether you learn how to read music, whether you learn basic notation, whether you learn music history, and we do all that, but outside the content, I think the one thing I would want them to take with them is when they go to college or they find themselves in a workplace, is how do I cooperate and work with somebody else to achieve something bigger than I could do by myself. And I think that in and of itself helps us grow together as human beings, as a planet, when we can start working together and not apart.
At the beginning of the year, we really try to torture everybody with theory, like how to read music. What are the beats? What are the notes? Because I think everybody really needs to learn that in life. It's just an enjoyable skill to have. Whether you're singing in a choir at school, or you decide you want to be in community theater, or you just do it for your own enjoyment. I mean, the research is out. People that study music, they do better in all kinds of ways, socially and in school. So you're really benefiting yourself to learn some of those skills. So we do that. I used to teach a music history component, and that's really a passion. I love teaching music history because then it all comes together, comes alive. But we don't have time when we're doing a big production like this to do that much.
So in high school, I was drum major of my band. I played saxophone, played drums, marched, played football as well. I also was in our church choir, so we get to travel a lot all over the United States. Then when I got to college, I did my undergraduate degree in music education, did West Side Story when I was in college. I was the lead in Showboat, the musical, when I was in college. Then I did my master's degree in choral conducting, worked with orchestras for the first time, worked with stringed ensembles for the first time. So music has really been a part of my life forever. Minister music at the church for 25 years now, right? So it's just a part of who I am.
I purposefully did not get certified in music because traditionally it has been a dumping ground for students that didn't have anything else to do. And I just don't feel that way about music at all. I feel like it is just as important as every other area in school because there are things you need to learn about yourself, and it's that vital to me. I have a degree in piano, so I've accompanied lots of things, lots of solos, ensembles. I love to do that. But my background in vocal is nothing, so I am learning on the job and just trying to support Lance because that's really his background.
So my role is sort of musical conductor, right? Miss Ford's role, really, she does all the accompanying. She plays all the parts. She makes sure that we're on the same notes. She's kind of ramrods all the paperwork. So basically, I get to come in and do the fun stuff, and she does all the work, which is kind of sad for her, but great for me.
My biggest role when we're learning the music is accompanying and make sure everybody knows all the parts. Right now, I'm doing pretty much everything from blocking to just, there's 1,000 things. Costuming, working with students on choreography, But Lance's main thing he does is the directing, making sure all the parts are all going at the same time. And I get kind of bogged down in some details. So I think we make a pretty good team because he likes to see the big picture and I see those, well, somebody needed to touch up that corner of paint or your bow tie's not on straight. So it really takes both of us.
Anytime a student is willing to get past who they think they are or who they think they can be and become something more than that, to me, that is a growth opportunity. And that's when I get the most proud. Whether it's, and you guys all know the people in choir, whether it's some of our students who are challenged with choreography, who actually learn how to get on step, or whether it's a student who can sing a solo really well and then puts drama with it outside their comfort zone, or whether it's somebody who just shows up and does something incredible. I think part of being in choir is we empower the students to be creative individually. Sometimes we do have to rein that in a little bit. You know, it's going to say, well, it's a little too far out there. But whenever anybody's creative and does it, I think that's when I'm most proud.
I always feel like students give 100%. They may not feel like it. You know, we all go through days, we don't feel good. We don't want to do this. I don't want to get up in the morning. But by the time we're done singing, everybody's happier. If you'll notice in class, it's like we start out, we might be down, but by the end of the hour, we're all pretty much happy and singing on the same page. So that's kind of neat to watch.